Welcome everyone. I welcome you to the last day of this Global Summer School on Law and Ethics of Artificial Intelligence. Host university today is Sultan Idris Education University, Malaysia. Speaker for today is Selina Kamraudin. She's a senior lecturer at University Penn Sultan Idris. I welcome you. Stage is all yours.
Ms. Mahek, I can start, is it?
Yes, you can start.
All right. Hi, a very good afternoon here in Malaysia and morning in India and the rest of the world. I don't know what's the timing. Right. Today I and my team from Sultan Idris Education University will be hosting this AI Summer School as part of the organizer. Right. Together with me, we have our team, myself, Dr. Selina Kamraudin. I'm from the legal background. My colleague will be Dr. Haris, Dr. Muhammad Haris. He's here. He will be from the IT background. And of course, we have another speaker today, Dr. K. Sowen. He's a technologist and also a lecturer from the fields of technology. This book, I'll be covering the AI aspect and human rights. Meanwhile, Dr. Muhammad Haris and Dr. K. Sowen will be covering their topics respectively in the area of technology. So it will be a multidisciplinary approach. Hi, Dr. Haris. Yeah, all right. I'll start my presentation, right? I'll be going first. The presentation will begin with myself. I'll be talking about the AI and human rights, followed by Dr. Haris and also Dr. K. Sowen, right? So I'll start sharing my slides. Are you guys happy? Today is the last day of the AI Summer School. All right. Okay, here we go. Am I audible? The slides can be seen?
Yes, you're audible.
All right. Of course, today I'll be talking about the predicaments in protecting human rights in the age of artificial intelligence and data-centric world. As we know, this technology, of course, is a good aspect of life, but simultaneously it's causing a lot of confusion, a lot of difficulties, be it legal, technological, and other aspect of it is interfering in our privacy. Of course, it's concerning human rights. There's a lot of issues concerns with this development, the rise of technology. As for the introduction, of course, when we talk about AI itself, artificial intelligence is the theory and development of computer systems to perform tasks normally requiring human intelligence. Like Gatsby talk about basically artificial intelligence is defined as a science in which its goal is to mimic humans' tasks. AI basically have many benefits, improvement, creativity, services, safety, and lifestyle. And also it helps in solving problems. At the same time, like what I said earlier, it has raised many anxieties and problems. We have seen many issues that has adversely affected by the AI. So this is the branches of AI. We have machine learning, deep learning, and predictive analysis. This is where the main issues of algorithm bias is coming from AI. We have this cognitive computing, expert system, vision in which we recognize the image and also machine visions, the robotic sides of AI, the speech recognition, neural networks, NLP, natural language processing, and also, of course, big data. Usually, the area of machine learning is causing a lot of problems that come from the AI. That affects human rights. Of course, when we talk about the AI laws and regulation, we have the international instruments that govern human rights and also artificial intelligence. Of course, we are talking about Universal Declarations of Human Rights and also International Convention on the Economic, and also this ICCPR is governing the global human rights issues. And then with regards to EU, we have the GDPR, EU laws and directives that governs AI and also human rights. National law in Malaysia, we do have our federal constitution, right, that governs human rights. With regards to AI, we do not have, currently Malaysia do not have this national AI strategy. It is in the midst of the government devising the AI national strategies. And of course, we have the ethical standards and guidelines governing AI and professional codes of conduct. So this is the issues when data and AI comes into pictures. It affects the human rights, privacy, the fairness, governance, transparency, accuracy, safety, and legality of the actions taken by the artificial intelligence. Right? Okay, what are the issues? What are the AI issues, and what are the specific fundamental human rights that are affected? Number one, we are talking about lack of algorithmic transparency. It affects the rights to fair trial, due process, effective remedies, access to public services, and equality. When it comes to cybersecurity, vulnerabilities, unfairness, it, of course, affected the rights to privacy, freedom of expression, the free flow of information, discrimination, elimination of all forms, discriminations against women, equal rights of women, men and women, enjoyments of children's rights without discrimination, equality before the law, right to life, right to liberty and security of the person, prohibition on discrimination on the basis of disability, and right to fair trial. That actually affected many rights, right? When the AI has no room to actually contest the decision made by the AI, of course, it will affect the rights to effective remedies and access to justice. We can see that many reported cases that have talked about how AI is actually rejecting someone's job application, someone's loan, someone's financial freedoms, and so on, right? And of course, when it comes to legal personhood, subjecthood, and moral agency, AI has affected the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law, right to equality, elimination of all forms of discrimination. AI has also gave rise to intellectual property issues, right? Basically, it has affected right to own property alone. I think recent EU cases has described that when AI made an invention, right? Any invention made by the AI should come from natural person. If the machines made the invention, it should be looked behind the person who is the natural person that have created the technology that can invent on its own. That is the recent case law with regards to IP issues and the affected fundamental liberties, right? And of course, when we talk about IP issues, it of course concerning the right to protection of moral material interests resulting from any interest, scientific, literary, and artistic production. Okay, the author rights. Okay, what are the adverse effects on workers that AI can actually affect? Basically, rights to social security, prohibition of discrimination with regards to the enjoyment of rights to work, rights to equal pay, rights of person with disabilities. This is many affected rights. Whenever the person have any disabilities in the CV stated, the system will automatically reject the CV. This is where their rights are affected. But with regards to privacy and data protection issues, AI has actually caused many concerns arising around the world. We know that they are talking about GDPR. GDPR has been in existence since 2018, right? So rights to privacy and also data protection issues are subject to questions, right? Like I said earlier, the fundamental liberties has given rights to life. Right to life includes rights to privacy, right? And also data protection issues. In Malaysia, we do have PDPA, but it's not effectively enforced. And when the AI has actually taken over this technology and so on, many privacy and data protection issues has come into place. We have seen many data leakage here and there are being that happens around the world, right? And of course, AI issues, another AI issues, what are the who is taking the liabilities when AI has causes damages? Of course, it affects the right to life and also right to effective remedies. And of course, the AI itself has no accountability for the harms that it has caused, right? Okay, when we come to how do we map issues to vulnerabilities, when it comes to the lack of algorithmic transparency, most examples are vulnerable groups, people are denied job, refused loan, refused entry, deported, imprisonment, and many benefits are actually deprived. So what are the outcomes, right? So poor, bad, rough design, unfit model, ineffective regulations. And also, of course, we have cybersecurity vulnerabilities. This is all the issues of AI, the issues and how it becomes vulnerable and how it affects people's life, right? When the unfair and bias and also discrimination of AI, it has adversely affected Black life, right? We know that many Black lives are labeled as a threat, right? When it comes to US and so on. We have seen the campaign of Black Lives Matters and so on, right? And of course, the lack of contestability will be an area of vulnerable to the data subjects who lacks by the information they need to exercise the rights. The legal personhood will actually affect the humans whose rights and freedoms are affected, might be in conflict or in competition. IP issues, intellectual property issues, it will be hard to determine who is the inventors and also the creators of AI work, right? With regards to the workers, it will affect the person with disabilities, young workers, freelance, self-employed workers, right? And of course, when it comes to determining the liability of damages caused by AI, the users of AI, those who are subject to AI use, or person to whom the harm is caused, can actually be affected by the AI system, and they don't know when they should sue or seek the legal redress or remedies, right? And of course, lack of accountability for harms users of AI systems, those who are subject can, especially the civilians, are harmed in the international AI-powered attacks. We know that nowadays we have this cyber espionage, right? Ransomware. Those are actually AI driven attacks, right? Okay, so of course, like I said earlier, the lack of algorithmic transparency, there is a pressure mounting to design and govern AI to be accountable, fair, and transparent. Information about the functionality and of algorithm is often intentionally or poorly accessible or exacerbates the problems. Various policy options to govern algorithmic transparency and accountability. But when it comes to AI, the first things we are talking about is always transparency, accountability, right? These two things is very hard to be determined in AI. First of all, we are talking about the transparency of the system itself, right? Okay. With regards to the data protection, EU data protection law basically give individual rights to challenge and request for a review of automated decision making that significantly affects their rights and legitimate interests. Data subjects basically have the right to object on the grounds relating to their situation at any time to the processing of personal data concerning which is based on the task carried out, public interest or legitimate interest. Of course, Article 22, Clause 3 of GDPR implemented that the data controllers must implement suitable measures to safeguard the data subjects' rights and freedom. Hyde underlines how the opacity of machine learning system will reduce both accountability of their owners and contestability of their decision. Meanwhile, Edwards in 2017 highlight the lack of contestability in relation to algorithmic system. Lack of an obvious means to challenge them when they produce unexpected imaging or offense behavior. With regards to this, the Stanford University, right, has come up with a challenge, right, for the developers or anyone can participate in that challenge with regards to with taking into consideration all these problems caused by AI. On the backside and drawbacks of AI, the Stanford University has come up with a challenge for the anyone to participate with regards to develop an audit trail. They want the algorithm of AI, especially machine learning, to be audited, right? The competition or the challenges opens to public. Anyone can participate, right? The price will be $25,000 if I'm not mistaken, right? So what they want the public to participate to develop a audit. How can we audit this AI or algorithms, right? We know the data is basically the data we have been supplying to AI. Whatever data is actually we supply the data, and then the data is being the AI has actually interpreted the data on its own, right? So now we are talking about how could we avoid this algorithm bias and so on by coming out with an audit trail, right? Okay. With regards to privacy and data protection law, the problem remains up until today because we are lack of transparency and accountability with regards to algorithm bias. Therefore, now they are calling for the AI ethics, ethical guidelines, and also the audit, how AI system can be transparently audited with regards to whatever each decision it makes can be audited, right? So of course, GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, provides insufficient protections against sensitive inferences or remedies to challenge inferences or important decision based on that. Going forward, data protection law needs to focus more on how, why, and what purpose data is processed. Deployment and use of AI technologies can cause damage to persons and property. In examples, we have Tesla car, we have Volvo car who has actually hit the pedestrian, the self-driving car, yeah? Right? We are talking about, as there are many parties involved in AI systems, right? Liability is difficult to establish when something goes wrong, and there are many factors to be taken into consideration. The use and deployment of AI technologies disproportionately affects the vulnerabilities. And of course, the UNESCO comments on the ethics of artificial intelligence cited that basically this AFST is actually a family screening tool, a predictive model used to forecast child neglect and abuse, stated that the tools itself is actually vulnerable tools in which it has poorly screening the delinquent child delinquency or youth delinquency, right? So individuals from the LGBTIQ might find themselves adversely affected by the systems that permit to facilitate such profiling and discrimination. We know in the US there's many, because of the facial recognition employed, there's a lot of person has been wrongly charged in the criminal court, and many person has been unnecessarily profiled by the police for the criminal, especially those who are going for the protest, joining peaceful assembly and so on, right? So the way forward to actually, in a way to actually take some mitigation measures in ensuring AI is not overlapping or taking ataupun intermingling with the human rights. Basically, we need to reduce the adverse impact of AI continuously by identification, prediction, preparation, in consultation with affected stakeholders, and representation of the identified vulnerables. We have to identify the vulnerable groups and then talk to them how these AI systems are affecting you. First, we need to reduce the adverse impact. That means the data has to be retrained, right? It should be done at the early stage in the research, design, and development of the AI technology. Action 1 is usually addressed directly to all actors in the AI ecosystem, basically researchers, research funders, developers, deployers, users, and policymakers. The second actions that we can actually look forward in reducing AI effects on human rights is to develop and build capacities of vulnerable communities for resilience to such effects. So action 2 is usually addressed to the policymakers, especially at the international, European Union, and the national level. The third action plan that we can take is actually to tackle all the root cause of the vulnerabilities, taking a harder policy or regulatory stance. So basically, in order for you to tackle these AI-related problems, what we can do is always two-tier approach. Number one is we need to have a hard law. Many of international law have been talking or given guidelines with regards to how hard law can be developed by the countries, right? How the international law can be transformed into national law and be a guidelines for the national law to be in line with the international law. Number two is regulatory approach. Regulatory approach is subject to the policymakers. It's subject to the political views, it's subject to the ministries, relevant ministries involved, right? So the third route is usually looking at the two-tier approach. Like I said, number one is your hard law, right? The act itself must be in place. Number two is we need to go by regulatory measures because only the specific or delegated legislation, specific expertise will have to actually devise their own law, right? Right? To actually reduce this harm, discrimination, inequality, and injustice fueled by such technology. So action 3 is addressed at the regulators level. Action 2 and 3 are immediate and urgent priorities since the development shows that we are only addressing action 1 to some extent, though we can depend on the context of application and jurisdiction. In Malaysia, I have to be very frank, we are at very minimal stage on devising the legislative measures for artificial intelligence, because our national AI technologies is still on the way. But many countries has got their AI national policies in place, right? With regards to our Malaysian context, so business and organization in Malaysia remain unprepared to adopt AI. There's no clear roadmaps. Malaysia is ranked bottom 5 with regards to privacy protections among 20 countries surveyed. It has scored below average in 14 categories assessed. That's the rights of privacy and data protections, right? So in Malaysia, we do have personal data protection 2010. It did make some improvement to Malaysia data privacy, but it needs to update and cover and protect all types of data that are being manipulated and also harmed. Regulatory framework of PDPA not covered on data privacy because data privacy is totally another subject matter that they have to look into. Issues created by cookies, online tracking, cloud computing, IoT, or big data. Lack of transparency of what data was involved, which users were affected, and what the public can do about the problem when a breach of PDPA occurred in cyberspace. Right. Way forward, of course, in Malaysia, the National AI Framework is yet to be announced by MDAC, right? To create a regulation to empower users to stay in control with regards to their data, encourage creation of common data spaces in crucial sectors such as the health, energy, agriculture, mobility, finance, manufacturing. This has been done during COVID, right? With regards to healthcare sector. Law and policies of the liability of AI, causing damage and ethics framework for AI should be drafted by the Malaysian government. And of course, finally, it's us call for multidisciplinary efforts from all the stakeholders, researcher, for multidisciplinary discipline to take actions on the law and policymakers and citizens to actually come up with the good countermeasures whenever AI is intermingling with human rights. With that, thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the floor? Yeah, do we have any questions from the floor? All right, any questions? Any questions? Any questions from the participants? Somebody raised their hand, I think.
I do have a question. Like
Yes.
as we discuss about AI in many spheres, the statement arises as it is arguable but not ignorable. But in the sphere of law and justice, or if we are using in the perspective or in the respect of discussion is going on in respect of human rights, it will create a big question mark, like how we see this statement like ignorable and arguable, because we have uh, seen many problems like using in AI, like data and privacy laws, and many states have their respective laws, and which is the universally acceptable law in the current situation.
Okay, with regards to AI and whatever problems it has caused to human rights, of course, AI is here to stay, right? There's no one law that we can actually refer as a good law, right? Because every law we could find the flaws. What we can do is that international law will be the guidelines for us to devise, right? International law will be the guidelines for all the AI developers, users to actually rely upon, right? So we need to actually, that's why they are calling for now the audit. How AI system can be audited? Last time, there's no requirement for the AI system to be audited. But now, most of the AI system should be audited to ensure the transparency and accountability, which derive from GDPR. GDPR is, of course, the international law is there, right? So that would be the guidelines for us to actually rely upon. Even now, there was rumors, or not rumors, there was sayings telling that we need to revise that GDPR because we see the evolving ataupun the development of AI is actually so fast. So the law is always left behind. We know whenever the battle between technology and law, the law will always left behind. The law can never cope with the regards to technology. But we can actually find ways to regulate.
Am I right? In saying like GDPR is not not a good option in current situation because of the advancement like machine learning, big data, IoT, or cloud computing, and the same is not aligned with these all. So that is the problem. Am I right?
So GDPR has provided a very good blueprint how to regulate AI. But the problem is, are we really relying on GDPR? Do we know the provisions or not? Be it either the AI developer system, us, the civilians, we don't even know what is our rights with regards to AI. How our data is being abused, how our data, our privacy is invaded, right? I think last time during COVID, we have this, wherever we go, we have to scan, right? The entries, right? In Malaysia, we do have that system, right? You have to check in to show that you went to this place, to ensure the close contact. Are those rights invaded our privacy rights because government is tracking where are you going, right? Like I said, in those situations, it is of course acceptable because on the grounds of public safety or national security, right? I hope that answers your question, Sasha.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. Any other question? Any other questions from the floor? All right, if there's no questions, thank you. I shall now invite Dr. Muhammad Haris, second presenters from Sultan Idris Education University. Haris, I'm going to unmute you now. All right,
okay.
Hi Dr. Haris, the floor is yours.
Hi, hello everyone. Can you guys hear my voice clearly? If yes, please type hello or hi on the chat.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Dr. Saslina. Okay, hold on. I want to share my screen. I think I cannot share the screen. Maybe the host need to allow first.
Okay, kejap Haris.
All right.
Okay, knowledge is the host. Can you make Muhammad Haris, Dr. Muhammad Haris the host as well? Mahak, is it? Miss Mahak, are you there?
Ma'am, kindly give me a moment. I'll check.
Yeah, please. Thank you, Vivek.
Okay.
Sekejap Haris, sorry.
Okay, it's okay. Just take a few minutes break, right?
Yeah,
Take 5.
take 5. Vivek, have you tried?
Yeah, ma'am, I'm on it. It would just take a moment. अरे बोल रहा हूँ दूर.
Yeah, Vivek, have you tried? Vivek, have you tried?
Yes, ma'am. Just let me assure once.
Okay. Haris tak boleh share screen eh?
Tak boleh lagi. Not yet. Ina boleh share ataupun saya
Boleh? I share.
share slide.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Haris, you are now co-host. You can share your slides.
All right. Okay, so you guys can see my slide now.
Yes, sir.
All right. So my name is Dr. Muhammad Arif bin Muhammad Adnan. Today I'm going to share about introduction to data science. Right. So just a few welcome message. Okay, we are afraid of something we don't understand, right? And one of it is AI. And this is a quotes by Sun Tzu, a Chinese general back in the ancient times. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. But if you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb to every battle. Okay. So understanding AI is important as understanding yourself, because we are going to work side by side with AI in the future. Okay. So we cannot run from this. AI will be with us in our daily life, in our work. Okay. So this really important to understand what AI is. Okay. So my field is in digital transformation, artificial intelligence, and also data science. Okay, so in this sharing today, I'm going to share about introduction to data science, business understanding, understanding the data, project examples that I've been involved in, and I'm the principal investigator of these projects, and also AI trends. Okay, so these are 12 means of data analytics or data science. First one is data analytics require major investment. Okay, this is not true, because if you want to do data analytics, data science, you don't need a major investment at all. You can use many free tools, for example, like Excel, and there are nowadays many cloud service apps or tools that you can use. Okay, where you can really reduce the cost if you want to do data analytics. Okay, and then you need a big data platform to do analytics. This is also not necessarily that we need to have a big data platform to do analytics. And then analytics remove human bias. Okay, this is also not true, because the results of the data science or the analytics will depend on the data. If the data that we feed into the system or the platform is biased, is already biased, then the result that we get will be biased. So analytics won't remove human bias. And then the best algorithm always wins. This is also not true, because sometimes the best algorithm will perform poorly compared to other algorithms that might not be the best in other situation or in other cases. And then algorithms are fail safe. This is also not true. Okay, for example, like algorithms, computers, they can be in a failure state. Okay, and then data science is the mysterious black art. This is also not true, because data science is a process, is a step-by-step process that we can really learn, we can understand, and we can follow that process. Okay, and then to do more data science, you need more data scientists. This is also not true. Analytics takes too long. This is also not true. And then technology is the hard part. This is also not true, because there are so many tools that really easy for us to use nowadays. Data analysis should be a separate department. This is also not true. And analytics is just for PhD. This is also not true. AI will destroy jobs and wreck economy. Okay, this is also not true. So this is 12 myths of data analytics. Okay, so big data, predictive and prescriptive analytics, and data science, they are different, but they are linked. Okay, they are not the same thing, but they are linked to each other. Okay, big data. According to Gartner, big data, the definition of big data is 3V. The volume of the data is big. There's so many data, and then the velocity, meaning that the data can grow. The speed of the data grow. Okay, is very fast. And last one is variety. The data can come from many sources, from live data, from the internet, okay, from a machine. So there's a variety source of data. So this is the 3V definition of big data. And by default, big data using Hadoop and big data techniques, for example, MapReduce. These are all the techniques and tools related to big data. And sometimes people use parallel and distributed computing in order to process the big data, because the data is big and we need a huge computing power. That's why sometimes people do parallel and distributed computing. And then predictive and prescriptive analytics. Okay, so predictive and prescriptive analytics. Predictive meaning we predict, and prescriptive meaning we describe. It means extracting the value out of a data. Okay, to forecast, to predict data that not available and making decisions. For example, I want to know the price of gold maybe next month, so I can predict using the current data that I already have. Okay, this one we can use data visualization, data mining, machine learning, cognitive APIs, and also applications. Okay, and then data science. Data science, evolving computer science, math, statistic, information system, domains, and also application. Okay. So you can see that the number of jobs openings for data scientists is growing, and in 2021 it really grows a lot of numbers of jobs openings. You can see compared to previous year, but if you can see the trend is always growing, because now is the we can say the world where AI is really important. So data scientists is really needed in many businesses, many companies lah. Okay, so general consensus of data science. So if you want to be a data scientist, you need to have a computer science knowledge, mathematics and statistic knowledge, and also information system knowledge. Information system knowledge meaning that you know about the applications of IT application of the information system, and then you also need to have the domain knowledge. Okay, for example, I want to use data science in order to process. Maybe I want to implement it in the field of autonomous car, like autonomous driver. So I need to learn, I need to study about cars, about automotive, about the road. So I need to have this domain knowledge. Okay, for example, if I want to implement data science in finance, in fintech, for example, finance, right? So I need to learn, to understand, to study about finance. And of course, we need to analyze data. Okay, we need to be data geek lah. We need to really love data, to analyze the data if we want to be a data scientist. So data science is a multidisciplinary field. It's not only computer science, it's not only maths and statistics. So it's a multidisciplinary, and it's based on science and maths. All right. So the primary goal of data science is to answer these 5 types of questions using the data. So what data science is trying to do is to answer these 5 questions. And in order to answer that question, we need to prepare the data, okay, which is data engineering, feature engineering, and then to extract the value from the answer, and to able to tell people about what is the value from the answer. Okay, so these are the 5 questions that answered by data science. The first one is classification. Okay, for example, is it A or B? You have, for example, there's one student just joined a school, and you want to predict whether this student will will take which courses. Okay, which course is suitable for this student? So we can predict. Okay, this one is classification. So we can classify. Usually classification will involve, is it true or false? Is it A or B? Okay, will the hard disk drive fail next month? Yes or no? So using the data, the current data, we can predict whether it's A or B. So this is classification. The first one, question that can be answered using data science. Second one is regression or forecasting. Okay, like the first one, I forecast in between categories, right? A or B, yes or no. But regression or forecasting, we focus on the value. Okay, what is the temperature next Tuesday? So there's a value there. For example, 36.5. And then how much is the price of gold next year? So there's a value there. There's not A and B, but there's a value forecasting, a value forecasting. So this one is regression. The second one, the second question that can be answered by data science. The third one is reinforcement learning. Okay, for example, which option? Do the car stop or go on an orange light? Okay, so for example, for self-driving car, so when for example, there's a hole in that road, so should the car stop or should it evade the road, the hole? So these are reinforcement learning based on the current data, the current situation. The AI will try to give the answer. Okay, what should the AI do? Okay, and then the fourth one is anomaly detection. We detect something weird from the data. Okay, we have a lot of data, and then suddenly we detect that, oh, there's something weird. For example, all the data is in the range of 1 to 100, but suddenly a few data, the value is 10,000. So we know that this is anomaly. This is something weird, and usually this was used in banking area where they detect fraud, like fraud detection. Okay, in bank account, suddenly they detect something is really weird in certain people bank accounts. Okay, so that could be a fraud. So this is anomaly detection, and the last one is clustering. Okay, clustering is unsupervised data mining, which is we don't know this. We don't have the early information about the data. Okay, for example, this is my first time going to some place, and then I have many data about the people there, and then I want to group them into clusters. So I don't have any prior knowledge about them. So using clustering, it can automatically group these people into several groups. So this is clustering. Okay. All right. And if we group the data according to similarities. Okay. For example, which viewer like the same type of movie? Okay. So for example, when we watch Netflix, right? So it will recommend, it will suggest to us to watch certain movies. Why? Because our data, our profile fits and similar with a certain cluster. Okay, so they know you belong to this cluster, then they suggest you to watch this movie. Okay, so these are the 5 questions that can be answered by data science. Okay, so these are the data scientist activities, right? There's a lot. There's so many activities. Okay, first one is to get more data, to get the data lah. So we need to ask the sharp question. Just now we know about the 5 questions. So we need to ask the question which one that we want to answer, and then sourcing and selecting the data source. There are so many data source, so we need to select. We need to find the data source and determine the features and the label. Okay, so this is the first task of the data scientist, and then get more data, and then we ask the sharp question. They put data into the table, and we check for the data quality, and we transform the data, because the data in so many formats, so many categories, so many different variables. So we need to transform it into something that we can process, and then we answer the question that 5 questions. So we choose which one that we want to answer. We use the algorithms and we deploy it. Okay, for example, we can create apps using that data science model, or we can use business intelligence software like Power BI or Tableau, and we can use artificial intelligence applications like Microsoft Azure and so many things. All right. So as a data scientist, 70% of the time spent in the first part, which is business understanding, to understand getting more data, and then determine the algorithm that you want to use, sourcing, determine the features. Okay, and then after that, the second one is to asking the data understanding. Okay, the first part, 70% of the time we work on this part, and then 30% on modeling, and then evaluation and deployment. Okay, so roles related to data science. We always hear data scientist, data engineer, data analyst. So which one? Okay, so data scientists usually work on machine learning, data acquisition, ingestion. We work on AI on machine learning, on modeling machine learning, on algorithm, sampling, quantization, cleaning, and data transformation. And then we build data science workflows with tools like Azure Machine Learning, Python, and R, and then data exploration and visualization. We build, evaluate, and publish machine learning models with Azure Text Analytics. This is an example lah. We work on machine learning models to analyze the data. Okay, this is the role of a data scientist. Data engineer usually they involve the warehouse, the data warehouse. You know, because we need to sourcing, right? We need to get a lot of data from many sources. So this is usually the task of the role of data engineer. Okay, they know how to use the Hadoop, MapReduce, okay, the database software to store the data and then to process the data, and then they can use Python as well. Okay, they can run workflows, they can transfer the data. So usually this part belongs to the data engineer. Okay, and then for data analysts, usually data analysts work on the visualization part. Okay, to explain about the data, to show the data in a graph. We can use Power BI, we can use Tableau. This one build a data model showcasing the features of Power BI desktop. This one is to actually show to explain, to show the values of the data to the stakeholders, right? Okay, so this one is the role of data analyst. Okay, so if we can do both, we can do all. If usually for a small company, data scientists need to do all lah, as long as it can do the job what the company required. Okay. Okay. Okay, so the first part, which is business understanding, data preparation, is usually the job of a data engineer. And we'll be using applied statistics, and advanced AI will be involved in data preparation, modeling, evaluation, and deployment. Okay, and for machine learning, will be usually for modeling and also for evaluation. Okay, so now let's go to business understanding. Okay, so the business understanding is the first part. Okay, so we try to understand the business first before we go into full scale machine data science. Okay, so we need to source and select the data sources. We need to explore and visualize the data. Okay, try to get the data and we explore and we visualize. Look at the current trend of the data. Okay, and then we ask the sharp question, what we are trying to answer. We source and select data sources and determine the label and the futures. Okay, so for enterprise data repository, there's usually transactional databases, archive, data warehouse, a data lake. There's so many files, log files, spreadsheet. So these are all the sources for data science. And then real-time data as well, from sensors, from machine sensors, and then IoT, from cameras, and also data from the internet. So many data sources. Okay, and the question that need to be answered is the sharp question, not this vague question. Okay, vague question, for example, doesn't have to be answered with a name or number, but sharp question must be answered with a name or a number. Okay, for example, a vague question, what can my data tell me about my business? Okay, it's hard to answer, right? But a sharp question, how many times will the feature I built get used by a new user? So we can answer this question using the data. Okay, which road through downtown will get me to work the fastest? Okay, so these are example of sharp question. Okay, and the target. For example, I want to know my stock price next week. So this is the target of data science. Okay, and then we need to determine the label. Data sources will be combined into one table. There are so many data sources. We will combine into one table like this. And you can see that the column that provide the answer to the sharp question is called the label. Not all columns will be used to provide the answer. Okay, sometimes I just need a few columns and this will be called as label. And the rest of the variables, the column that not used directly to answer the question is called as futures. So in data mining or data science, we only use several variables to answer the question. Depends on the question that we want to answer. All right. And then types and of features and labels, there are numerical numbers, numerical which is number, 38.3 degrees, 39 pizzas, in money, okay, 64, and also categorical like name, variety, ID, okay, category. And then there's also categorical variable that look like numeric, for example, phone number, zip code. Okay, some numbers that look like categories like place, first, second, third, size, site, time zone, and train stop. Okay, so first, we already understand about the business, right? About the data source, and then we know about labeling the data. Now we need to understand the data, the second part. This the task of data science, data scientist. Okay, so for data understanding, we need to import the data. So we need to know how to use a database, a file transfer, data feed. Okay, is it real time, a live data feed, real time data streaming using sensor, camera, camera video feed, network data, and then we need to join this data into a single table. Okay, using SQL or programming using R or Python, like this. So many sources that we combine into a single table so that we can process that data. Right. And then the data that we have, we can actually visualize it. For example, you can see these trends. Okay. And you can use many tools. For example, univariate plotting, histogram, box plot, histogram. You can plot two variables, scatter plot. You can use features correlation. Okay, remove redundant. These are because not all the data will be useful. So we have so many sources of data. We need to select the data first. Say so you can do some statistics process just to get to know the data, to understand the data, and you know that which data you want to use for your data science process. Okay, so there's today's data science platform, for example, like Excel, okay, SQL Server, this Power BI, and then Tableau, okay, Power BI, okay, Azure Machine Learning, R language, Python, Jupyter, and all this can be used to do all these steps. So nowadays it's quite easier lah because we have all these tools. Okay, now I'm going to share about some of the project example that I did for using data science. Okay, first one is childhood obesity prediction. Okay, so childhood obesity has become a worrying global epidemic. Evidence show that childhood obesity persists into adulthood. Therefore, predicting obesity at an early age is both useful and important. So I'm trying to predict whether this child will be obese or not at certain age. Okay, so the objective is first to identify the risk factors and protective factors of childhood obesity in Malaysia, and then I select and propose parameters for prediction, investigate the data mining techniques or the AI techniques that I can use, and propose new techniques, hybrid techniques, to increase the prediction sensitivity. Okay, so these are the steps that I've been my research methodology. So first I need to study business understanding, right? So I need to understand the risk factors, the reason why children become obese. So I study from global children study, local children study, factor selection. This one is data understanding, and then I construct questionnaire. Okay, then I collect the data. Okay, distribute the questionnaire to primary school children and collect the data from parent and family, and then from all these sources, I do data cleaning. Okay, and after that, I select the parameters. I do discretization, feature selection, and parameter identification. Now I get a very good parameters for me to process and to do prediction. Okay, and then after that, this the part where I use AI. Okay, this CAD, SVM, neural network, discriminant analysis, K-mean clustering, linear regression are all the techniques that I use to test to predict, to do prediction. Okay, the question that I want to answer is whether a certain child will be obese or not at certain age. Okay, so I do this and the answer will be yes or no. Okay, and then I will compare with the child current data, because I use the child historical data, and I try to predict the child's current obesity status. Okay, so and then I also propose a new techniques here, and then these are the factors that relate to childhood obesity in Malaysia: the gender, the catch-up growth, premature birth, obesity rebound. This is the children own factors: lifestyle, breastfeeding duration, eating soap, sandwich, snack or chocolate, excessive television watching, eating junk food, one meals for supper, fried food, fruits, okay, and then physical activity and duration of sleep. These are all the reason why children obese or no. For example, fruits is the protective factor. Okay, it can reduce the risk. And then family and environment as well, number of siblings, and also parents' BMI. Right. So because there's so many data, so many type of data, there's a number of children. So I need to discretize, I need to change it into numbers, something that I can do data analytics, which is number of children. Okay, so I group into 1, 2, 3, and more than 3. Then hours spent on watching TV, okay, less than 1, 2. These are all based on research. Okay, I group them based on research, and then so these are the results. You can see that these are the algorithms and these are the results: sensitivity, specificity, and accuracy. Accuracy meaning that, okay, 83.33%, the algorithm will predict correctly. Okay, 83.33%. Okay, this one for overweight prediction. And these are the algorithms that I came up. Okay, I hybrid the algorithms. Okay, this one, and the result is was better compared to the current algorithm. So this is one of my research lah. Alright. Okay, now the second project example is heterogeneous and multi-attributes double ocean framework. This one more the domain is a business domain for negotiation. So because human always negotiate, that when we want to buy something we negotiate, but can AI help human to negotiate? So this what I'm trying to uncover. So I involved with this research. Okay. Okay, so this research aims at enhancing the double ocean framework. There's a double ocean framework in a marketplace. Okay, there's a buyer and there's a seller, and I'm trying to automate the buying and the selling process. All right, using AI. So this is the trading scenario. There's a customer want to buy cloud service, and then the customer will go to the marketplace. There's a broker agent. The broker agent is the AI agent. AI agent will get the customer needs, and AI agent will negotiate on behalf of the customer. He will go to the this system is in the cloud server. AI agent will do go and talk to the ocean coordinator. This is also AI agent, ocean coordinator. Ocean coordinator will do his stuff. It will clustering. It will do sorting, okay, and then matching of the customer and also the seller services. Okay, and then these are the client server, this client provider that will go to the ocean coordinator and tell the ocean coordinator what they are currently selling. So all this work automatically using artificial intelligence. Okay, and so these are the framework that I built. Okay, so the result from this project. Okay, so HEMDA is my own framework that I built. CDA is the current algorithm in the market, that this is the best algorithm in the market, and HEMDA is my own creation. And in 300 trials of negotiation, you can see that the success rate is higher compared to CDA, and for 5,000 negotiations, the success rate also increased a lot compared to CDA. Okay, and This one for selective attribute, also the success rate also increase a lot. And then cost per service, meaning that the cost of for buyer to buy that service is already reduced because of the negotiation done by AI compared to CDA. My own HEMDA is let's say $10 per service, but HEMDA is $14 per service. So my algorithm had to reduce the price of the service using autonomous negotiation. Okay, and last one is social welfare, meaning that the benefit obtained by the customer. Okay, in this case, so HEMDA is the winner. Right. So these are the examples of work that I've been involved as a in data science field. Okay. So last but not least, I want to share two AI trends. Okay, the first one is the future of emotion in artificial intelligence. Can AI really feel empathy? Okay, so recent study tried to tackle this problem by training AI algorithm on large data set of human facial photograph with various mental states. So they feed human image, okay, human face image with different mental state, happy, sad, boring, right? And they feed into the AI algorithm, and they try to teach the AI algorithm to identify these mental states, this emotion. And then once the algorithm learn how different emotions were linked to certain mental state, it could accurately predict a person's mental state simply by analyzing their facial expression. So the algorithm was able to feel emotion, but very basic one, which is happiness or sadness. Okay, and then the lead researcher put it: a computer can't walk around in your shoes and understand how you feel, but if we can figure out how people feel, that is possible to have an AI that feels the same way. So the researcher believe that AI one day can have also feel empathy can feel happy and also feel sad. All right. So next one is relation between AI and healthcare. AI being used for in imaging technologies, for instance, to achieve the level of accuracy equivalent to people when screening chest X-ray for indication of TB. So they can achieve, AI can achieve the same accuracy as when people do the screening for TB X-ray screening. All right. Second one, smart gadgets are nowadays important in medical setting, for example, to monitor patient in ICU and other location. Right, so using AI, they can detect whether the condition of the patient is going to be to deteriorate or any anomaly, okay, any data that's weird, so they can detect using AI. And the third one is predictive analytics and clinical decision support technologies powered by AI will serve as a large portion of foundation for that progression by alerting providers to issue much more they could otherwise identify the need for action. Meaning that AI in healthcare, the AI nowadays can predict and also help doctors to give clinical decision. Okay, for example, one software named Watson. Okay, it's been produced. This Watson software is already, I think, in 2018, and it's really popular in healthcare and used by in hospital lah. Okay, all right. So that's all from me. A little bit about data science. Okay, so any question from the floor?
Thank you very much, Dr. Haris, for your presentation. Any questions from the floor?
Okay, please proceed.
So I do have a question. Like we have a huge future for AI in many spheres, including healthcare sector. And as you have mentioned, some of them like Watson software used in healthcare sector. So I read something about a Botkin.ai used in the healthcare sector. I am a bit confused or not sure how the responsible person will be get judged like it's a technology based work, like the developer will be the responsible person, or the person who is using the same will be responsible in case of any uncertainty happened during the course of work, like surgery or any other thing.
Okay, that's a very, very good question. Thank you so much. Okay, actually in healthcare, AI still not uh, replace doctors lah, but have to give a second opinion. Okay, based on the data, right? For example, the AI feed a lot of data of patient with heart attack, for example, or with TB, right? Okay, so when the patient come and meet the doctor for diagnosis, and then using the data, the doctor can give uh, his own like result, like okay, I think you have TB, for example, based on his own experience. The same thing with AI, using the data that it collect from other patients, so it can also give his own opinion. Okay, so the doctor can refer to that. Okay, so AI say that this patient has TB, for example, and it's the same with my own opinion. So AI just help the doctor to make the decision, but in the end, the doctor is responsible for any decision that he or she makes lah. Okay.
Sir, if the same process will be get applied, uh, uh, have you in your opinion is the same is not giving many time, like if a person is using AI and gets his opinion, after that he will go with the opinion for a doctor itself, like he's the more knowledge and he has some practical knowledge, so it's not getting so late, like is the same has been developed by a programmers, and they have done some many research, after that they have deployed the same.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. For example, I think there's already AI chatbot that used to help people with depression, right? I think there's previous presenters already present about that. So before they really go and meet the psychiatrist, right, to get help, so they can self-diagnose themselves using AI chatbot, for example. So you can see the AI can help, but it's not 100% reliable. Not 100% reliable. We still need a human to make the final decision, because if you look at in the IR the industrial revolution, right? For IR 4.0, AI replace human to be the to do autonomous tasks, but IR 5.0, the next phase will be human and AI work alongside. So, okay. So human will come back to the workplace and work alongside AI. So this is IR 5.0. Okay. So still AI cannot work on its own, even though we say AI is really smart, but human is still the smartest. Okay, human are still the smartest being in the world. Okay, so the final say will be human, but AI still can help to get a decision, to give some opinion or decision lah, or we can say pre assumption, okay, prediction, but it's not 100% accurate.
And you have mentioned about some work in the field of psychology, like sorrow or happiness. If we judge for such questions, like if a person is not open to everyone, like he has some works or some thoughts in his mind itself, and he doesn't speak anybody with anybody with regarding the same, and if the sudden situation arises, I'm not sure that his face can read by like AI, and they get that details going on in his mind.
Yeah, because some people, their face is emotionless, right? No
Yeah,
emotion. So
bilkul.
yeah, this depend on the data lah. The AI need to learn. If the AI has enough data, that it can really classify whether this person is happy or sad. It depends on the data that it fits. For example, like self-driving cars, right? They need to train the cars, the self-driving software on the road until it can really drive itself. Okay, same like if you know AI learn how to play AlphaGo, right? AlphaGo games. Okay, so by fighting with itself, it create a copy of itself, and then it keep fighting with the copy of itself 24 hours per day, and finally it can beat the world champion of the AlphaGo at the time, which is human being. It can beat human being, okay, by learning. So what's important is the data itself. That's why 70% of the data scientists job will be in data sourcing, data preparation, because data is what makes the AI accurate or great or not.
So what's your opinion, like if the same is implemented, like self-teaching features in the same scenario, like the AI get some details from the person, like he's not emotionless person, and nothing is coming up from his face. The same get some details from the same, and analyze some details and get some features, and present to the result to the programmer, like we can have some these details. Like, is this can be a solution for the same, like gathering of problems, and collecting the same in different parts and get some sort of data for advancement?
Okay, usually the AI system is autonomous. It can learn on itself. Okay, for example, the system is just let's say 1 month old or 1 year old, right? It's still a baby system. Okay, so still there's a lot of image that it cannot recognize, right? The facial image that it cannot recognize. But let's say after 2-3 years, and it can identify certain people that not happy, but his face is just like emotionless lah. Okay, so it will learn slowly, and also that's the job of not the programmer but the domain expert, right? For example, psychiatrists can use this system, for example. So the psychiatrist can actually inform the AI, correct the software lah, the AI software, that okay, actually this person is sad, even though his face like this, he smile, but actually he's sad, right? So the domain expert, the expert people that using that can actually tell the AI, feed the data into AI, okay, to make it better. Okay.
Thank you, sir. I got my answers. Widely
Yeah,
expressed.
thank you so much. I know that you are really interested in AI.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Haris? Okay, if there's no questions, we'll take a 5 minutes break before we proceed with the third speaker of the day, Dr. Kesavan. We'll come back in 5 minutes time, 2:06 my time. Right? Come back after 5 minutes, everyone.
2:06 Malaysian time.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Aris already almost cover my part also, right? So at least I can skip some part.
No, I think I just focus on data science.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
part is about they got some kind of the manufacturing. So never mind. The deep ones you already cover already. Just I go for the beneficial a bit, but the ecosystem. Yeah, the something is quite interesting with the AI, Doctor, because as you mentioned just now, for when go for Industry 4.0, so the AI is just a sit beside us, right? So we can together can develop something for support for decision making. So what happened for the Industry 6.0? Take over the human.
I think AI will be embedded in our body,
Our body already. I think
our
the
body inside our body.
Mr. Tiwari already smiled over there already. So maybe he can start research on Industry 6.0 from now. He become an expert. Right. So still interesting. Because I always lecture to my student about the information system, about the ethical, the laws for the when implement AI. If there is no policy, then it can be go for big trouble as well.
So I'm smiling because in my mindset, I have some instances like in the current scenario, as big
Yes.
data and BI is used in many spheres of industries, and earlier there are a huge workforce which are giving some responses and predictions to the industries, like apply this marketing strategy or
Yes, correct. Is actually the basic fundamental be engaged with the still is IT, then develop the Industry 4.0, then AI, right? It's something for the current stage. As just now Dr. Aris mentioned, they collect the data, give some kind of the, we can say it's a report, but the decision still we are the one need to take.
yeah.
So if upcoming is Industry 4.0, as Dr. Adi said, we sit together with one chair, so it's equally. So whether human decision is correct or the AI decision is correct, right?
I think I think the situation will be like I or the AI will be a manager and I will be the subordinate, and he is
Yeah,
guiding.
there's a possibility if those who are is willing always science fiction's favorite movie, then is it can we call is the time for the Terminator movie, something like that. They develop themselves all the science as well. So we are become a slave already.
It may be some cases, some problem like AI is not happy with us, and they
Yes,
say go home and I will get my robots too, and they will
yes.
work for me.
Yeah, that is the thing. Now also many things devices at home also is fully controlled by the AI, our voice recordings, right? So it is a controlling. Then one day is can started to think themselves, then we are already stuck inside the home, they cannot open the door as well. So Mr. Tiwari, you are from where?
Sir, I'm from India. I'm a law
Eh,
student. Huge influence and inference towards AI. Like
okay.
I have many inferences and discussion going on with the peoples around me, and what
Okay.
is the impact of AI in their life and employment. I have some
Employment.
humorous point of view, like some point of time, people say that AI is taking away our employment. Like earlier, we are a group of 5 pupils, and we are doing the same work. Now AI is coming up, and I only left, and the rest are vacated from my place, and I'm on the only person just getting the details and forwarding to my superiors. Like AI is some
AI.
sort my reduce my work, but some sort they have taken away my friends too.
Yeah, because actually the even not only the AI, all the element from the Industry 4.0 is rapidly peaked after the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Before this, they are also thinking whether want to implement or not. But after the pandemic, it's a must ready. Everyone searching for the internet and must implement. If not, they are losing. That is become the scenario. Okay, our moderator is arrived ready.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Kesavan and Sachin. You guys have a very interesting discussion on sharing your interests. Okay, the next presentation will be from Dr. Kesavan, who will be presenting on cyber security and part of manufacturing related technology and AI. So the floor is yours, Dr. Kesavan.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Saslina and also Dr. Haris just now. Okay, is it the full screen or I need to?
This is not on presentation mode.
Okay, right. Okay. Okay, how about now?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Good day, everyone. Good day. And then first of all, I'd like to thank you to the team of the organizing committee for this AI summer school for the second time inviting me for as a keynote speaker for this section. Right. And then just now was interesting topic is presented by Dr. Haris from the computer faculty. So, and then myself is from the business economic. Then I like to present my topic is a cyber entrepreneurship in manufacturing and the role of AI in their ecosystem. So actually what we like to know about the cyber entrepreneurship. So that means it's something new, which is of course from this summer school. It can be is upcoming new research which we can conduct. Right. Of course, these are the name. Of course, everybody knows about the entrepreneurship. What happened to the cyber? Then why it's a blend with the manufacturing as well? Then how come the important part of the AI ecosystem? So these are the quite interesting topics because I want to refer back to the what are the we done at the backward. So I would like to moving forward. What are the we can do upcoming in our research, right? So the first thing is we must know about the cyber entrepreneurship. I hope some other participants already started to the Google search. Hey, why is the new name of the cyber entrepreneurship? Right, never mind. Later on, we got the answer. First, before we moving on to the cyber entrepreneurship, we have why we not take a look about the chronology of the entrepreneurship. Of course, the entrepreneurship is birth from the entrepreneur. That means the person have capable to open the one business and run the business. That is the basic fundamental. If we ask each of the businessman or the entrepreneur, each of them have a different what we call is a definition. Of course, at this universe there is no as a fixed terminology for the entrepreneurship. Each of them have their own definition. But when blend with the technical part, okay, according to the few scholars as Zara, Anthonic, Prodan, the previously, they said is kind of the development innovation when blend with the technology is considered is a technology based entrepreneurship, which means is that you are doing some kind of business of innovation with the technical, then it's become one of the entrepreneurship with the technical. So that means there's innovation inside the manufacturing firm. Yeah. And then there is another term is came out from there is technology entrepreneurship, technical entrepreneurship, techno entrepreneurship, and then techno entrepreneurship is there together, right? Based on the specific criteria measurement such as their R&D work, research and development, what they can do, and involving the employees for their R&D. Of course, now they blended. So this scenario is we can conclude that it's we are at the industry 3.0. They started, right? So technological entrepreneurship is kind of the business leadership style. Of course, at the industry, they have to. There's a must. Yeah, there's no such as when we refer back to the industry 4.0 and 2.0. There's a must blend with the technical. If not, you unable to fulfill what is the customer need to improve the quality or what is the quantity need was get from the customer, right? And then all the entrepreneurship is started to boom with the technology, right? So to achieve their goal, yeah, when we go, we can see the improvement for their entrepreneurship with the blend with the technical. So another thing is from the Canadian Academy, they said the technological entrepreneurship deal with the being innovative, making as a both science and technical knowledge in new venture, right? It's something as an academician we can see is a multidisciplinary. So here, I think all the participants know already why I initially asked the question, how come there is entrepreneurship which blend with the manufacturing, then from there it's a jump to the AI because it's a blend with the multidisciplinary. So from that, technological entrepreneurship often has a high potential for growth and mainly focus on the niche of the market. It's a must. Yeah, so we can ask whether in Malaysia or the India or other country, of course, the manufacturing side, those who are willing to open the new manufacturing, they definitely looking forward the technical part. We didn't go for anything. It's about the manual, right? Because we want to improve the quantity and also the quality. So we back to the first question, which is I highlight about the cyber entrepreneurship. So what are the new things? Yeah, this is the cyber entrepreneurship is which are the activities in terms of your business, which is particular you engage the internet, right? This is some kind of the modern thing we want to further study for it. Right, so that means the cyber entrepreneurship is all the thing about the internet-based business practice. So here we can see a bit cross-disciplinary from the entrepreneurship about the business we involved with the internet. So it means that from the internet, then we know already. If we know about the AI or machine learning or cloud computing, all the element industry 4.0, that means there is no internet, that means there's no function at all. So these are the networking from the entrepreneurship. You engage with the internet, then you want to apply at the manufacturing. So when come to the cyber entrepreneurship in manufacturing, right, as I mentioned previously, most of the top world producing factory, they already started to digital, right? Everything is digital. You can ask any big corporate company or Motorola or iPhone, we can see the Samsung, so definitely, or Dell, right? They already started producing with the industry 4.0. They have all the element, machine learning, AI, right? They have already. Even the staff, the employee come to work also. The previously we need to have a tag to going inside the firm, but when they engage to come to their premise, they automatically is recorded, right? So we can see the face recognition, right? So if face recognition, most of we as a community, we know already. Okay, when the pandemic is started, they said, okay, we want to scan your temperature, right, at the face. Then they say, okay, what is your temperature level? They say, you got a fever or not? So you got a fever, then only send, okay, you go for a check for you got a COVID or not. That is the big question. But initially at the industry, they started already. When you walk in, come to their premise, they already face recognized already, right, and captured. So what time you engage to the company, started to work. These are the synonym ready at the industry. So the reason why, because of course they want to reduce the cost, and then their process they want to make it more efficiency, right? So when we throw back a few years back, when we got some identification card want to enter the premise, sometime we can simply give to our card to our friend to tag. But even though we are still not inside our firm to started to work, so these are the issues always happen. So sometimes they declare the overtime some more. So they want to make improve. So there's no choice. They want to go for the face recognition by using the AI. Of course, our face, we don't want to borrow to our friends, right? Working place. We definitely have to come to the working place. Then they want to what we call the capture. These are some of the example they apply. Other than that, as previously Dr. Aris mentioned, the most of the data at the industry previously is manually taken. They must. So when come to the manual, of course, there is become a human error always happen. So when go for the AI, it's captured all the data, then use the AI. They can sort out what is the capable with the example which just now Dr. Aris mentioned. So it make easier to go for the middle and top management make a decision. For example, so let's say that I got some kind of the quantity want to send to the customer. Always the customer asking, okay, I want to check first your quality data, right, before send whether is data is within the specification or not. So the data is up to date. And sometimes when we engage with the supply chain, even our customer can go through, get the data immediately. So before we send out, that means we can't what we call manipulate the data, right? The reason why, of course, we manipulate the data, then we send the actual part to the customer. Customer want to set up their manufacturing process production line. Then might be their product have some quality issue. These are the fundamentals. So when apply the AI, then with the supply chain as well, so they can get the data directly. So we can improve our efficiency, the quality, right? So these are the things with the supported by the AI. Of course, the AI is a different company. They have a different perspective. Why they want to use it. Okay, so the back to the in manufacturing for the deeper. So it's a support for our revenue, and then cost saving, shorter production time, increase regulation inspection, learning adaptability, manufacturing capacity. As I said, it's supply chain demand, increase small batch or customized good. These are the things happen with the AI. Right. Of course, there's some of the evidence I am able to share because I follow the ethics from the previous company, but I can share with you what is the happen. What is the happen with the AI the few years back, how they conduct. Okay, let's see. There is one firm. They have a production line, so they want to run. Okay, by the running. At the some of the employees conduct some process for the assemble. So even though I'm available at the other country, I still can monitor what is the happen at the production line, right? So I can get the real time, whether they are available, what they are perform, what is the total output, whether the machine is down or not, what is the batch of the goods they are bringing to the production line. Right, so I can still monitor. So for example, let's say there is a production line is down. Okay, so I can get one trigger in my app says the line is down ready. So I know already who are the technical person need to attend immediately to back up. These are the things very easily. That's why we can see how they can make an improvement at the production line by using the AI. Okay, so now that are the some of the good parts we can know about the AI, why they use at the manufacturing to the support. However, these are the things. When come to the internet, okay, I am a business owner. I already started a business by using the AI. Use the inside my firm, everything is controlled by the internet. But there is a possibility about the cyber security. These are the things we can be carefully, we need to take note, right? So for those who are attending participant at this AI summer school, let's say you have an interest in research about the cyber security, please carry on. Cyber security, how is the cyber entrepreneurship is blended. to support the economical part, because still have some of the business shareholder, they're not interested implement for the what we call is the industry 4.0, because they are worried about the cyber security, right? Because the simple example, if the equipment at the office, your working place, it's not controlled by the cyber security, that means the data can easily flow through outside. So maybe it's going for your competitor. Of course, the business have a huge competition, so it's can't go for the competitor. That means they can easily hack our system, right? They can crack in our system. They can easily, if got the data, they can go through by the firewall. They can manipulate our the data, right? As I previously I said, customer can go through, review our data of the quality is nicely. Then somebody, there's a third person coming in, hack inside, crack the file, then manipulate the data. What happened to our sales? What happened to our product? That is it's become a big issue, right? So when come to the AI at the support, that means the cybersecurity technology, we can see it must be come under the ecosystem of the manufacturing industry by using the AI. So what are the component process? Is just something like attack detection, right? Attack detection, behavior analysis, risk assessment, right? Of course, if there's so many data available, we can't monitor all those things, right? So it's an example, attack detection is anyone from the external is trying to take the data from our system. They can be alarming to our top management, right? These are the things is really important, right? So as just now is something like a behavior analysis. Just now Dr. Aris mentioned that we can recognize whether their face, whether they are happy or not happy, come to work. So might be they already they have their behavior analysis, right? And the risk assessment, yes, we can use the AI to quantify cyber association with the vulnerability and the threats. Yeah, the simple example is sometime at the industry, they can do the programming or coding even though we are using a USB external drive, right? So we can only provide or can use by using the external drive. If you are using our own, it's unable to detect, or it can be alarming to the IT center. They said someone is using the external file, so it can be detected from which computer. That is the fundamental basic. Yeah? That's something we need to take note. So from the time to time when we see the cyber security and AI investment is a rapidly increase. Yeah, it's a rapidly increase. These are the data I get from the PitchBook and Bonds Allen. Their analysis for the 2020 is a rapidly increase, but quite down during the 2020 because, of course, in the world we have a pandemic. So this time is going down. So others are still increasing. So I believe after the pandemic, it will be rapidly increased. Yeah, even I write up one book chapter is during the pandemic, it's a fast track to activate Industry 4.0 at the manufacturing. It's a must. If not, we are losing it. Yeah, as we know already, we use the AI. So why not at the Industry 4.0, we can use the AI become what we call is a third layer of the manpower. Yeah, manpower at the organization is a top management, middle management, and the operational level. So at the third level, we can use the AI to run the production. That is a possibility. So maybe Mr. Tiwari can start a research, came up with the Industry 4.0. Then there's a human. Of course, definitely you are the one need to control them, to program it how to run. Right? These are the things. So the benefit integrating AI into cybersecurity, because it's improved cybersecurity effectiveness due to the AI ability to detect, attack, highly security enhanced incident response. So these are also really as important, the benefit for the AI. Okay, and then increased time saving as AI, expertise and detection of response, cycle time, rapidly qualifying, accelerating, analysis, decision making. This decision making. It's helping decision making. That means we must remember decision making is we are the one need to make a decision, not because the AI just gives the alarming. So we make a decision. Okay, whether want to follow or override. These are the things. And then it also support for the cost saving in organization. As previously I mentioned, we put the device for the face recognition and come to the work. So it's if not, you need to put or previously need to tag additional manpower you need to put. So these are the things we can eliminate. And then improve the workforce experience as a cybersecurity professional, can focus a higher level task as a time consuming and then manual action. And then finally, there is improved customer satisfaction and brand reputation. Of course, when we are at the manufacturing sector, I already started open the business. We always said is the customer is right. So we need to fulfill their satisfaction. Right, we are not opening the business because of the hobby, because we want to make the profit. So the profit is came from the customer. So the next thing is we want to satisfy the customer, right? When satisfy the customer, of course, we have some kind of the document. These are the documents, and also we must protect, right? By the cybersecurity, we cannot simply let go out. These are the things. So for the conclusion, what I say, this must be the more research must conduct for the cyber entrepreneurship in manufacturing sector, and then I must focus to other industry as well, not only the AI. We can go for the cloud computing, machine learning, right? And then is need to concern more cyber security, right? Of course, I believe that inside our participant there is we have our law when engaged with the cybersecurity, right? For example, the simple linear understanding. If here is my friend is Dr. Aris here. So me and Dr. Aris is a friend. So one day I borrow his laptop. I borrow his laptop doing some work. Suddenly I engage with the internet. I can see about his email, his Facebook. Of course, it's about his personal. Of course, it can be open because our current laptop, Windows, Google is something setting is something like that. If we save the thing. But as I'm the borrower, if I see through, I hack, crack in, then I steal some information that means it's not ethical. Then it can be against the law. And I give some linear example. So it can be fall under the Computer Crime Act. If I think it's a Crime Act 1997, if not mistaken. Maybe you can refer to Dr. Sachna, is an expert for the law. So there is some other laws of communication, if personal data protection. Right. So, for example, just now Dr. Aris have a slide who is on his research, and then he also have a copyright, also all those things. But I suddenly take his copyright and doing some for purpose of the money, doing the business. Also, it can be penalized by the law. These are the things. So when come to the need concern more cybersecurity, these are the thing element must be considered under the cybersecurity. So if these are the thing element consider, it means that those who are upcoming investor for the manufacturing, for other business involved the cyber entrepreneurship, they will be feel the safe when doing the business inside. These are the thing, the new term I bring it to this AI summer school for our participant to concern more, right? So I think, okay, thank you, Dr. Sachna. These are the end of the slide. So I think in my explanation to bring it some point to our participants so they can focus more. So sometimes entrepreneurship, they said open the business, right? So now we blend with the manufacturing, blend with the internet, then we can link with the AI. And then why we need to concern with the cyber security. When come to the cyber security, then we must enforce the strong law to implement. These are the things our concern. So we can see is the many upcoming research we can conduct in this network data. And these are my idea I would like to share for the as a keynote speaker is invited. Thank you, Dr. Any question? Mike?
Yeah, I do have a doubt. Like, sir, we are we are using Power BI and many softwares in the sectors of industries which are in retail sector, and the benefits or the results they derive from the same, they have multiple stores, and in the different areas they get generate the reports, generate the deviations, the requirements or the perceptions of customers, and
Yes. Actually, Tiwari, I understand because all those data, right? When you check again the loss of your organization, we cannot simply expose all those data. Of course, you got data, some kind of the customer data. These are the things is really important because of the data. So that's why who are the one really can have access to gain the data is very important.
Yeah, and for and some bit adding bit some point, the same is generated in that stages, what are the persons who have interacted with the same and dealt with the same, and they get them made some purchases for the same, and they
Yes.
get that persons for the specific roles. In some instances, it's we are giving a good better job for a better person for which he suits. But if we see for the new one, he has some sort of time, he is doing working with the organization for half a month, and the person is working with for more than 1 year. The data and the data difference is huge, the perception is hard. So in
Yes.
that case, sometimes,
Yes, I can understand because there is a possibility when come to the internal resources, employee also one of the resources we need to should to take care. So that's why there is when under the human resource protocol, when we take the one employee, that's why they go through all the CV. Then after take what is the behavior, so the task is given. So normally at the organization, this kind of the person, they won't give a higher authority to access all the data. So because they know already this 1 month, so they know already, okay, after discuss there's a possibility leaving, they won't give authority. So the who are the authority higher given is a higher rank, maybe the assistant manager, managerial level. So that one also we can see when they give notice, for, of course, they say the notice for the resign, joining other job also. The IT department expert will screening all his network, whether he already submitted or whether he share any data to the customer or competitor at the place. Because one of the experience I like to share here is when I engage with the previous company, there is a one law, the policy they mentioned say that when I resign the job, I cannot join my competitor company. There is a policy is there. Okay, of course, when we are at the one same industry, right? For example, industry A, B, C is the same niche of the business. So industry B is offer me higher salary. Of course, we think I want to jump to the another industry, right? So, but the policy said I cannot jump. If I want to join that company, maybe after 5 years, right? So immediately I cannot join. There is a policy between the competitor. These are the things we must be careful. We cannot today I resign, tomorrow join to the competitor company. That means the possibility of the data inside the organization can steal to the competitor.
As you have mentioned about the niche, if both A and B companies are working in the same niche, and it's possible the programmer or the manufacturer of the Power BI or any other analytics platform is the same one. Like they have the same vendor or the same person who has created the details for both these two companies. And
Yes.
for the marketing purpose point of view, sometimes it's possible like they have some references giving the data, like you are a footwear company and the same other footwear company, we have some data, and we can share you some inferences which will increase your benefits. What's your opinion on the same? So like, is what are the percentages, like the same will affect both these two companies in the negative way? Like they get some benefits, like knowing the strengths and weakness of your computer is better, but if we are digging more than that, maybe that will be a problem, like we can have a copyright issue or any litigation problem with the same. And if the same is coming, because like we are using same data because we have access in our platforms and the vendor is provided because of the marketing strategy, how the same will be dealt?
Okay, for example, if there is a company A, B, C is the supplier for the another company. They have one strong company, there's a supplier. So maybe the customer is a end product. So they can advise, give as some kind of supply chain. So when come to supply chain, is a no choice. A, B, C must follow their end product company is instruction. So that time, so the programmer of course need to consider all those things. But there is when I say is there is a policy said they cannot reveal. There's ethical coming in. They cannot reveal. They cannot reveal even though, and if they are found, then there will be the ethical issue coming in, the policy coming in, they can sue them. But if the customer said you must follow, this is the instruction, they must follow. It's a no choice. If not, they lose the market, right? That is the happen. But if, for example, I got my own company, I got a customer, but I got another competitor. That's why we can start create our own website, and then we have our own supply chain. We can must protect as well inside. If this one, then we can provide. I mean, the data is cannot go to the another company. That means you are safe at that.
Thank you.
So
sir.
these are the thing is when we start when come to the cyber entrepreneur, we must be careful when engage, because nowadays is just now we discussed earlier, the internet, the industry 4.0 about the cloud computing already inside our blood ready now. After the pandemic, it's inside the blood ready. We cannot say I don't want to learn about the IT. It's a must ready. All right. It's even starting from the primary school also they started to engage with the IT. It's a must ready. So we trying to living with this kind of the situation. So we must trying to avoid how to protect our data, to make sure our data is not steal by other person, because the data is very important.
So in short, we can say that if the same is industry 4.0 or 6.0, the big question or the first one will be the same, like how we deal with the data privacy.
Data privacy. That's why the cyber security coming in. Cyber security, more research coming in than before 5.0, industry 4.0. We must have a proper cyber security laws must in. These are things must compulsory. For example, now we can see many people started to playing the drone, right? Drone. Yeah. Drone. Okay. So we can see at the housing area, many people started become a hobby. They just initially just some kind of the drone. Then after that, they have a fix with the camera. Then they can steal inside the what they happens out another housing area, right? Then that is against the law. There's no privacy ready. So now must have apply the one policy. You cannot fly drone this area. So above this area, you have been not allowed. So these are the laws coming in.
Sir, for the drone point of view, I have some inferences in the in for nearby my place. Like some persons ask some hospitals, mainly some hospital ask the local authorities to have to fly drones in form of the emergency vehicles. Like if we got
Right. Okay. For the laws, for the in Malaysia, you are at the India. In Malaysia, we are going to start to give authorized license to fly the drone. Authorized, something like you want to drive the car, you must have a license, right? So these are the license. So let's say you want to fly the drone, you must have license. You are going to implement soon. So if they are authorized implement person drive the drone, then only allowed to fly. So if currently they have a drone, we implement at the hospital for this other thing. So might be at the India, they have, you've got the policy, have a license. So this person must take the license. That means he has the authorized. So for other person take note, they know already who are the owner of this drone.
In that sense, the biggest question arises during discussion is like who will be getting a right to check. Like a drone is handled by some persons, and he is handling virtually. Like he's for different from the actual location. Like a drone is flying in the air, and we have a box, and we are pretending that we will have some LEDs for the emergency vehicle, like in the case of any accident.
In Malaysia is will be handled under our aircraft, the FTAA, DCA. They are the person in Malaysia will be handle this thing. They are the one will give the license to the who can say is something like a pilot drive the drone. Because this one also I just recently take note when I dealing with one person is going to start up the business. Actually, he start up, they want to build a drone from India. He want to build the drone from India, want to get the approval from Malaysia. So during that time discussion, he said in our country also in Malaysia, they only authorize 3 company to provide the license for the flight the drone. That means, let's say for myself, I say I want to fly the drone, I must take the course, must register. These are my drone, need to register. So when the drone is a fly, so our here local civil aviation, they know already this drone belongs to who. If they fly high, they can shoot the drone down. These are the things. If not, more accident happen, then it can fly our head, then become a safety issue already, right?
We can think for a situation like we are roaming between robots and drones. And
Yeah.
sir, is this possible with AI? Like somebody is flying in air, and we can have a check like what they are taking in the drones, like
what they are captured, right? What they are captured. I think these are the things we need to go for further research. You can identify. For example, right? If there is a research nowadays, when we know at the location there is some kind of the business available, the restaurant, the any food restaurant or any location, we can easily identify at the Google, what we call is a Google map, right? We identify the Google, and then next is when we are moving in our car, our location, we can see the path, right? This car. So next app is we can see is a Waze. Waze also we can see the movement. Then we know other drivers as well. Am I right? The Waze. So why not at the drone? At the drone, their user, they came out with a join inside this Waze. So we know already this drone belongs to who, because we can easily see the apps why he's flying. These are the straightforward, we know already, because it's not something like a drone is not authorized. This one is a legal drone. Okay, what the purpose they are driving, there's a declared earlier. So it can be, why not? I think if I give this project to Dr. Aris, he can do. He's a computer expert. You know, see.
Yeah. But seems to be a big question in some cases, like if somebody is questioning that somebody is taking any illegal thing or anything which is not permitted.
Yes.
How will we get judged, like what type raise and what type of recognition, how will get the checking of the same is the same is far away from earth.
Yes, if these are the thing is if the drone must have a proper approval from the local government, proper government. So approval, then authorized person only can fly. These are the thing must be enforced immediately. If not, everyone also can be, even the small drone without camera also, they can put one smartphone capture also, they can fly, right?
Yeah.
Easily can do, because now everybody is make innovation ready. We can learn anything from the YouTube as well. So must have a proper enforcement. If there's a community, they identify there is something objects are flying, we must immediately have to report. If the one of the community said here is many people is flying the drone, so maybe they can put some kind of the AI, they can detect immediately, get alarming. There is one object is flying surrounding our community area. Immediately it can trigger. Also, we can implement by the AI.
Yeah.
These are the things. This additional research project we can do more from the AI.
Thank you, sir, for the.
Okay. All right. Okay, it's a nice question, Mr. Tiwari.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kesavan. Any other questions from the floor? Right, if there's no questions, I think that's all from our team, Sultan Idris Education University. That also marks the end of AI Summer School for this year. Thank you very much for all the participants for bearing with us for over the period of 2 months, I think, 1.5 months, right? For the 8 classes. With that, thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone. See you guys next year. If there is another AI Summer School we have. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, all the speakers on behalf of Knowledge Days. I, Vivek Singh, thank you all for such a wonderful and insightful session. And it was great learning with you and along with you and from you. And we got to know certain many and new aspects of artificial intelligence. And that's all. Thank you so much.